There's Caroline.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, one and all. How's it going? Great to see you. Great to see you all. Here we are. Here we are. Noreen, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing great.
Hello.
I
Hello,
just want to
Carlina. Thank
get
you for your
some.
gifts.
I,
Helena, how are you? Sally,
I just
Valerie, Mary, lovely. Geraldine, Rebecca, and Cormac. I see you've joined us over in.
Spain.
Are you over in where are you, Cormac? Are you? God knows where he is these days.
Yeah,
He's either in Barcelona or he's in the Middle East or I don't know. And Noreen, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, great, and I'm sitting here with a surprise, which we'll share in in God's
Wow,
own time, in God's own time, as we say.
Noreen has a surprise. Lovely.
So, Conastan Shiv Galir, Anam Kirkle Vishtikula, agus fáilte ó bhisteach lá éile néamh Luke. Lucas mar derbí den méling. Agus fáilte roimh go léir agus aníos sibh éiscint. Tá sé fuair fearne ansa omránóna agus I gaiir níos measa deirtar ach be míid go léir go bra. So las míid ácuinil ansa le cara na lasa áin atá a gcuine agus ag whistle. Hello to you. I've nearly forgot to change to English because it's, as I always say when I get excited, I love to speak in Irish. And I'm very excited to see you again. It's lovely. It seems a long time actually since our last time. So we'll bring in the light here, the rainbow of light, sending that from my little hearth here into your hearth and calling in the presence of that other voice that will be inspiring us as we go. Today is the feast of St. Luke. And so that was a great inspiration to me as to the topic that I would call in today, which is Luke is known as a doctor, a medical doctor. Apparently was healed St. Paul. That's sort of a legend. So I thought I'd call in the doctors, the women doctors of the church, and to share them with you later on. And so we'll start our little time together with a prayer of one of them, St. Teresa of Avila, my favourite actually, because she's a great sense of humour. I'll be sharing that with you too. So she says, let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you, all things pass. God never changes, patience sustains. All we love is in God. Trust, patience will win, and God's love is enough. God alone is enough. That's St. Teresa of Avila. And lovely to see you all. And I won't be able to stay until the end now because we're going into a lovely concert of music in the university in Limerick. And we'll tell you more about that, where the lads, the love of my life, Micheál O'Sullivan, and the lad's father's music has been played because it's celebrating 30 years of the Irish Chamber Orchestra, which Micheál actually brought to Limerick. So it'll be very moving there and to hear his music. So a whole lot of us are going in, and you'll be with us in spirit too with that. And Owen too. And Owen, will you tell us about your surprise since we last met?
I will. And yeah, Mihal would be here, except he's part of the festivities of that concert this evening. We'll tell you a bit more about that later. Let me tell you what I've been up to. I think a few of you know what's been going on here, and let me just share with you a little something. Um, hang on.
That's lovely.
What
Look,
is?
that's
Can you
lovely.
see that?
We can.
Yeah, let me move it up here. There is that's Finn, he's 3.5. Andrea, my wife, and here's little Nora Rose, who was just born 2 weeks ago.
Nora Rose, look at that.
Nora Rose. called after
Yeah,
Maureen
yeah.
and her mother Nora and her mother.
You have four generations of Noras. My grandmother, my mother, myself, and there's little Nora.
Here she is as a little pump dressed up as a little pumpkin.
And Rose, then, of course, is Andrea's mother's middle name.
Yes, Nora Rose. There she is.
So there'd be no fighting between the mothers. We're all in
So,
there.
and we think, yes, look, she may have, there might be some copper red in her hair, like Finn, which is, there she is.
That's lovely. Yeah.
So it looks like we're after ending up with two redheads.
Two redheads, yeah.
There's a proud brother,
That's lovely, yeah.
and Finn's going around saying, "Where's my baby? My
Exactly.
baby is so cute," he says.
Ah, that's lovely, yeah.
"Where's my baby?"
Lovely, yeah.
So
That's
we're having a good time. She's just two weeks and 2 days old now. So um, we're up all night, and so I might drift off to sleep here while we're talking.
exactly.
But it's different the second time round. I think it's easier, dare I say, less kind of stressful and more because we've done it once. So
We've done it once, exactly.
um,
And they say little girls are easier too,
all the way, yes, more agreeable.
until they become teenagers.
Really,
The trouble starts. Oh, yes, yes.
I don't know about that.
Oh, yes. And I see a few people I see clapping their hands and
Oh,
up there
really?
agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we've been having a great old time here, and uh, the this time of year, of course, is a absolutely magical time of year, and this was the high point of the Celtic calendar. The high point of the Celtic calendar as we head toward the feast of Samhain, the feast of Samhain, which is known today as Halloween. And we've gone, especially in this country, in the United States, well, in Ireland too, we've gone crazy for Halloween. There's as many Halloween decorations now as there
Oh,
are
desperate stuff.
Christmas decorations.
Desperate stuff. Oh,
Desperate stuff.
ah, scary stuff.
Yeah, it got very, very scary. I think actually, it's actually all that scary horror stuff is actually a kind of a repressed. It's missing the point of Halloween, really. That it kind of took one aspect of the feast and
Yeah.
sort of perverted it or fetishized it, and fetish that scary part of it without putting it in context because it is a scary time of the year, and it is a time where we are closest to the dead, and there's lots of reasons for that, but this is the time to commune with those who have passed and to commune in a very real way. And so in Ireland, you would leave a candle in the window for the dead, and you would stoke the fire. You'd build up the fire before you went to bed for the spirits to come in and warm themselves. And so it was a real sense of connection with the dead at this time of year. And it's, of course, the perfect time of year to do that. It would be the wrong time of year entirely, at the height of summer, to be talking about the dead. But this time of year is the perfect time, as the leaves are falling now and decaying and dying, as the mists in the morning obscure things, as the sun dips lower in the sky, and the light sort of plays tricks on you. At this time of year, things shift and things change, and things that were visible and certain and sure become blurred and out of focus. And the colors. I went for a walk at this park down there, and everything had turned into this brown umber, and
Mm.
it was almost like a big mush. Like I couldn't discern the trees from the plants. Everything was kind of mushed in together. And then suddenly, um, out of the corner of my eye darted a herd of deer, from this brown, and they're brown as well too. And it was shocking. It was scary. I was scared. out of my wits and shocked. And so that's what the scariness of this time of year is about. And it is the beginning of, we often say here, the Celtic calendar was divided into two halves, the dark half of the year and the bright half of the year. And so the bright half of the year is ending now, and Samhain marks the first day of the dark half of the year. And this was the most important. This was day one. This was New Year's Day. This was the most important feast in the Celtic imagination, entering into the darkness and entering into the unknown part of ourselves. And the unknown part of ourselves is simply scary. If it wasn't scary, it wouldn't be unknown. If it wasn't scary, it wouldn't be the dark half of the year. The things that were visible, that made sense in the visible world around us, no longer make sense. They're dropping down and falling around us and disappearing. And we have to re-enter an internal and inner part of ourselves. And it is only the appropriate emotion, the appropriate posture entering into this time of year is one of fear, a healthy sense of connection to being shocked and being having your breath taken away. And that is the inner world, the world of the inner life is shocking, like in our dreams. I don't know what your dreams are like, but sometimes my dreams are quite unusual and shocking. And Jesus, if you knew the type of stuff I was up to in my dreams, lads, you wouldn't believe it.
You'd
And I'll
never.
never tell you. I'll never tell you what I was up to. Shocking things. Oh my God. Blood and gore and guts from time to time, not always, but
Yeah.
um and it's funny in dreams sometimes, like the shocking things that should be shocking aren't, and the things that are scary or that shouldn't be scary can cause a certain fear. Everything's mixed up and upside down.
Mhm.
And that's another time of this year too, where things are mixed up and upside down. So the whole phenomenon of trick or treat is fascinating as well too at this time of year, where you get the knock on the door. Who's that in the darkness? There's something in the dark knocking on the door, and if you hide from that knock, if you run away, and if you don't face that fear, if you run away, you're in for trouble. You're going to get a trick. You'll be tricked. You have to open the door to that fear, to that knock, to that unknown sound in the night. You have to open the door and actually welcome what is knocking, and welcome in the unknown. And not only welcome it, but you actually have to give it something. You have to sacrifice something, and you have to pay a toll. And if you do that, then they'll pass on to the next house and leave you alone. The Passover. And so that's where that trick or treat comes from. This is an invitation to the inner world. The light, the visible light of the world starts to diminish, and we look inward, inside ourselves. And there is a sense of fear there, for sure. And how do you approach that fear? You do it by actually welcoming it in and giving it a sacrifice, giving it something, giving it a treat.
Mm.
That's
And I
what
suppose
I'm
the underlying thing there, and two, is it's all about how we view death. And so if we're perpetuating this awful, scary image of death for our children, and that's all against the Irish tradition, you know. And you said something very interesting thing, that the summertime is no time for talking about death. I disagree. We should be talking about death, as Saint Benedict says, keep death every day before your eyes. And so that's, and then you talk about the knock on the door, you see. So that's very like the Irish image, because what we say is fear díorcha, ní chuireann sé scéal ar bith roimhe. Death is a direct man. It comes and knocks on the door, and he doesn't send any message before him. He just comes and knocks. And the sacrifice is, the lovely sacrifice, is yourself, because death is to be welcomed on all levels. And I'll actually be talking about that now too, about divorce tomorrow as well, because in a way, divorce and death, there's a lot of similarities and analogies there. So it's a time that we really should be welcoming in death and seeing it all around us in the trees and those leaves, the dancing leaves that are falling so beautifully.
And that's another aspect too, is that the beauty of this time of year is stunning as well too. And um it's so fleeting, where in just a few weeks time, once the snow falls in this part of the world, everything turns from this huge magnificent symphony of color to just black and white. And it's an amazing example of that sense of transformation that our lives can have from one moment to the next, where we can be in this magnificent symphony of color, and
Mm,
then things can just be turned in a moment to just black and white. And then when this another great symbol of this idea of looking inward, or looking to something more eternal rather than ephemeral, when the leaves do fall on the trees, if anyone is interested in astronomy or astrology,
mm,
get an amazing view of the night sky,
right.
because you just realize how much of the night sky was being blocked by the beautiful leaves. It's a wonderful metaphor that the leaves and the flowers and the trees, when we are in the bright half of the year, are dancing before our eyes, and that's what we see. It's a superficial thing actually, and then when the leaves fall, you see the stars, and you see the outlines of the mountains in the distance, and you see the eternal. You see things that are unchanging and immutable at this time of year. So that's the inner world. We talk about things in abstract, in their eternal form, in their essence, their formal essence, rather than in the bright half of the year, where we revel in the visible and the beautiful. So it's a great time of year. So you'll see when you go outside, you can see the stars more clearly, and as well you can see the stars more clearly because with the cold climate, the atmosphere is less vibrant, and so the light of the stars, it comes through the atmosphere more clearly as well too. So you actually see the stars more clearly at this time of year.
Mm.
So it's appropriate to spend more time looking up at the stars, um, at this time, and contemplating, yeah, contemplating these things, yeah. But there's something about, and as well, yeah, with the with the divorce course, which we'd like to invite you all to join us on. I know a few of you have signed up for it tomorrow. I'll share a link in the chat on that, and you have the Inner Soul Circle discount to join us on that. But that idea of, and I think we disagree on this, Noreen. I know, and with David White as well too. He disagrees with me on this.
One of the many things we disagree on.
The like the necessary um the necessary approach to death and disappearance, with a sense of dissolution and disintegration. That if you're approaching death and disappearance and darkness full of joy and happiness and welcoming, that you're not actually doing it. You're not actually doing it in its fullest, and that there is required a dissolution, a dismemberment. I'm thinking of Jesus on the cross says, if Jesus is God, even God is forsaken
Yes.
on the cross, you know? And until you have become fully forsaken,
Mm.
only then is the moment of transformation permitted or appropriate. So there is a sense where total dissolution has to be at some level
Mm.
acknowledged and embraced. What do you think of that?
I wouldn't disagree with you at all. I think
Right.
that's, in theology, that's what we call kenosis, which is where you are just drained to allow you into the next stage, just as Christ was on that cross, as you say. That's where the term comes from, kenosis. And that's totally bereft of everything. Um, and, you know, that is life. That's the essence of life, is that space, the threshold space between despair and hope, between darkness and light, the dual existence. So to enter into that non-duality. No, I wouldn't disagree with you at all. I don't know why you would say I'd disagree with you.
Well, just I think you've such a facility when it comes to death and ease of a relationship with it that um, I think at times it can be hard for you to I don't know. I just think that you're so in conversation with death and disappearance that the rest of us aren't, and that most of us are terrified of it and don't want it at all and don't want to engage with it at all and want to shut the door and not welcome it. Whereas I think one of your great teachings is your ability to welcome death and change as inevitable.
You're young, Owen, and that certainly comes with, for me, it came when I was 50. That's when I began to embrace it. Up to then, I used to have a terrible fear as a young girl. I would sit at the top of the stairs of my parents when I was 6, 7, 8, and I had a horror of them dying. Who would mind me? And that, lasted for a good while actually. But then, as I say, when I was 50, I can remember the moment that death became real and alive and real and a reality. And that these days that would be from that day of 50 would be very precious and that I would not waste them. And as you know, 3 years ago, I was on the verge of death. But what brought me back from that was, and I was looking forward to it, what brought me back was that it was a voice saying, you still have work to do. And I'm sending you this disease to, stop you in your tracks and to remind you that I'm there.
One of the great images of this time of year as well too is the image of the labyrinth. And the labyrinth over the years, over the centuries, the millennia, has taken on many different forms. But for me, the labyrinth, entering into the labyrinth, is very energetically similar to entering into this time of year, entering into the dark time of the year. And the labyrinth is an abstraction, a teaching, a lesson, an eternal teaching for our daily lives. And the labyrinth, one of the oldest stories that we have existent of the labyrinth is from ancient Greece, where um, the story is that a great king entombed the Minotaur, half man, half bull, inside this labyrinth, and hid it up inside this labyrinth because this bull was quite wild, and the deal was that every year they had to sacrifice seven um, seven men and seven boys and seven girls to the Minotaur in order to placate the wild forces trapped up within us. And these forces were the Minotaur was running rampant inside the labyrinth within, trapped up within. And then one year the great hero, it was every 7 years. At one stage, this great hero Theseus said, "You know what? Actually, we're not going to sacrifice our children anymore. I'm going to go in and kill this Minotaur." And the daughter of the king knew that Theseus wouldn't escape. He might have killed the Minotaur, but he wouldn't know how to get out of the labyrinth. The labyrinth was so confusing and strange. So she, because she was so in love with him, she gave him a piece of thread to hold on to. And um, as he went through the labyrinth, the thread would spool around and weave around, and he eventually faced the Minotaur and slayed the creature in the depths, faced that fear, refused to placate that dark side of the self, and face that fear and overcome it, and then was able to find his way back by following the thread all the way back through the labyrinth. That thread that was formed through love and through relationship with another. So that's one of the oldest stories of the labyrinth. And then the labyrinth has appeared in many different forms over the centuries. To this very day, labyrinths are as popular as ever. You find them all over the place, and I'm sure each one of us has had the experience of walking into one. And the labyrinth is monocursal. Monocursal. It's not a maze, even though those words are kind of interchangeable in a way. But the labyrinth that we kind of know today is there's only one path, and you walk in, and the path snakes around and around and around and backs and doubles back over itself, and eventually you end up in the center of the labyrinth, and then you turn the corner and you keep following the path, and it retraces its steps. It kind of unwinds itself and pops you back out at where you started. So there's a huge symbolism and teaching there around it, and I don't know if you've ever done it, but it's a miraculous thing, because you see the labyrinth on the ground and you think, oh, I'll do this in
Yeah.
2 minutes, and you start to walk, and even if you walk it a little slowly and pretend to be contemplative, and you kind of shuffle around, and you get to the center, and it's a long way. It takes ages, and often I get to the center of the labyrinth and I just kind of want to walk. I don't want to walk all the way back. I just kind of want to walk out because it's taken so long to do it. And then you go back and you're retracing your steps, and you remember these parts of the path, but you're looking at it from another perspective. And it's amazing metaphor for the life's journey. And this time of year, I think it really shows that it's this internal, inner journey, a reflection on something eternal and within. And it's a great time of year to really bring the labyrinth back into your life in whatever way you can. If there is a labyrinth near you, to go visit that, and to think about it, or even to just look it up online. And while I was looking up labyrinths, I also follow this wonderful Egyptologist, and he released this video about this labyrinth, this famous mythological labyrinth that has been spoken about over the millennia by various ancient historians. There's this labyrinth in Egypt that the ancient Egyptians built that was even more spectacular than the pyramids, it was said. And there are all these accounts of this labyrinth. And recently, in recent history, we've kind of forgotten about it. But this guy, this group of scientists have done this new scanning technique, and they believe they found this ancient labyrinth that was spoken about. So I'll include there's a great video that this guy I follow, he's a wonderful guy, and I'll include that video in the notes for this as well too, and you can check it out. It's very exciting. I think it's very exciting that at this time in the world that this ancient Egyptian labyrinth has been uncovered, and that perhaps there's some greater story that the labyrinth has, not only for each of us individually, but for our society and our world today, that the image of the labyrinth right now has a certain potency and an energy about it that is perhaps more relevant than ever. Yeah. What do you think, Nora? What's been your experience of labyrinths over the years?
Well, you see, our Irish equivalent are stone circles. And so when you walk around that stone circle in 9 times, which would have been the tradition, but we would maybe do it 3 times, that's the same experience. You're almost, I suppose in Christianity, you're comparing it to the Stations of the Cross. It's a walking meditation, whatever way you look at it. And so you are walking there in
ground penetrating, right?
In absolute communion with nature. And just recently, when I never told you actually, we're always talking about the Loughgore Stone Circle as having 113 contiguous stones. Contiguous means they're all joined together. They're not now, but they would have been long ago. And so I was reading the other day about chakras. And there is a theory that there are 114 chakras in your body. And I'm wondering, is there some connection with that 113, because it could be 114, of course. Would there be a stone there for every chakra of the body? But I really believe, so labyrinths, yes, I have walked them myself, but I never, and in fact, I have a tiny little labyrinth done here in my small, tiny garden, that I decided I would leave grow wild instead of mowing it. And so I walk this little labyrinth myself. I haven't done it now for 2 or 3 weeks. So it is a walking meditation. But labyrinths, I feel, are Greek, and so, but ours are the stone circles and the stones, and walking around the stones, and even the wells actually are 3,000 holy wells. That there's something about it.
And there's the great, that was Christianized then with the holy wells, with the stations, doing the stations where certain prayers would be said at certain holy wells and places, and you would walk, circumambulate little piles of stones,
and then much later the Stations of the Cross, of course, which you'll find in every Roman Catholic church, which are very powerful to do, actually, to walk the way of the cross, as it's called.
And one of the most famous kind of medieval labyrinths was in the cathedral in Chartres.
I was there, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course in Grace Cathedral too.
And great in San Francisco, yeah. Yeah.
Walked all of those, yeah.
They're great old fun, yeah. But I just think it's a great time of year to return to that image and to get out and walk one if you can. And that there's something in, I think, this rediscovery of this labyrinth in Egypt, and I've heard other people return to the labyrinth in their own work and artistry. Our great Alison Green is returning to the image of the labyrinth, Helen Phelan as well too. There's something that the labyrinth has to say to us today.
Good. So, and maybe talking about Alison Green now.
What?
Who's beside me here?
Oh my goodness.
And maybe she'd like to say a little word about the labyrinth.
Alison, tell us.
It's like you queued me up there.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. This the Holy Spirit, you see.
I'm having an extraordinary time here, exactly examining and doing all kinds of history of the labyrinth, and just yesterday walked Loch Gore Stone Circle and the 113 stones, and had a great power to it. I mean, absolutely. I will just add one thing to what you said of the Greek story there, Owen. Rodney didn't just give a golden thread. She taught Theseus a dance. And it was the dance to go in and the dance to go out. And the dance is called Uranos, which is the original oldest dance in Greece that is the basis of every Greek dance to today. And the saying is, if you don't have the courage to hold hands and learn the dance, you won't have the courage to face the Minotaur. So in fact, it was the dance before the thread, and then the thread takes you back out again. So we're working with the dance steps in the labyrinth, and we're also working with the very ancient, one of the oldest Celtic chants that is sung both forwards and backwards, the same way that the steps are done forwards and backwards to get through it. So not only can you not jump out of the labyrinth too quickly, you actually have to walk backwards out of the labyrinth, and then it really takes a long time for you there.
Exactly.
So I'm having a really extraordinary time being able to investigate these things, and certainly feeling the magical liminal spaces around here. And we've gone to quite a few labyrinths and walking them, and stone circles, both labyrinths, stone circles, and mazes, all three. And experiencing those here, and staying just across the green here from Noreen at Glynstall. So it's been magical. I feel like I'm in a labyrinth when I go up through the forest, up to the chapel, and back down again in some ways too. So it's been grand. All right, I'm bowing out. Goodbye.
No, you're here beside me. Yeah.
But the dance is a much more beautiful image than the thread. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the combination of it, and so I was delighted. And in fact, the dance Uranos is means crane, and
Uranus,
it
yeah,
was a crane
Uranus.
dance because the crane does an amazing courting ritual. They will mate for life by teaching each other the dance which they will do every year, the cranes. And every culture that where the crane migrates has a crane dance, and it's a symbol of eternal love, just as Theseus and Rodney's love. And I'm also looking at the Minotaur actually maybe not being a beast. Perhaps we should have sympathy for what was locked up inside. And uh, Borges has some beautiful writing of the perspective from the Minotaur on the inside too, which is coming to peace with that, with ourselves. So there's lots to investigate with this
And
and
then
approaching
Alison,
Salmon.
Loch Gore, the Irish Gore, is
Yes,
crane.
is crane.
Is crane Loch na Gorn, yeah, which is a crane.
And I've been aware
Yeah,
that Colombo there in Glenstall
is holding crane.
is holding a crane.
He is,
So
yeah,
there's cranes all
yeah,
around
there's
with this
cranes all around, yeah.
imagery as well.
And yet
So
we don't have any cranes in Ireland,
yeah.
which is very interesting. So I have a theory about that St. Columba.
Do
I was
you?
telling you, St. Columba and that crane there,
Yes.
because it comes from a legend about St. Columba who founded Iona. And so he was there with his monks one time, and he said to one of the monks, "Come here a minute." He said, "There's somebody very important arriving on the shores of Iona. I want you to go down and greet him." And so the monk went down, and all he found was this very dilapidated eel crane. And he lifted the crane up because he knew this was the person that Columba was waiting for. He took the crane back up. Columba healed the crane, and my theory is the crane then flew to Loch Gore from Iona.
Ah.
But I mean, that's only just my theory. But
And of course, the crane bag in Celtic
crane
mythology. Have you
is,
come across that, Alison?
So what
yeah,
does that mean?
The
the
crane
crane.
bag. Yeah, one of the big potent symbols in Celtic mythology. And it was such a huge image that Patrick Hederman, the former abbot there in Glenstal, he named
Serious
a whole
journalist.
journal
Yeah.
series of Irish studies called the Crane Bag from the 80s and 90s. And the
And the
Crane Bag
story,
was it was like a magic bag that the Tuatha De Danann before the Celts, you know, the real magic people, the Tuatha De Danann, Monaman MacLear made a
that's right. That's right.
bag out of a crane in memory of his dead wife, the love of his life,
Aoife. Aoife.
that eternal love. And
Right.
so he fashioned a crane bag to hold all the secrets of the Tuatha De Danann, and the secrets were only revealed. You could only see the bag when the tide was in or
Yeah.
something.
The tide was out.
And
Ah,
when the tide was out, you could only see what was in the bag if you looked at it in a certain way, you know, and it would be invisible to you. You wouldn't see anything if you didn't do it in the right way.
And it
And
contained
that was
his
called,
shield and his um what else
yeah,
his
all the magic implements were kept in the bag. Um, and so that was made out of crane skin. Mm.
gorgeous.
Aoife's
Thanks
Aoife's
for that.
made out of, yes, in memory of Aoife, his beloved. Lovely. That's lovely.
And so there's a great, I love this, and I go back to this poem all the time, the William Stafford poem, The Way It Is.
Yeah, I was going to,
About,
because I have that published. I was going to read it actually. Go on.
oh,
Yeah,
stop!
read it.
Were
Yeah,
you?
I was. I have it here. I was just going to read it
I
because
was going to do it because of the thread, you see.
that's right. Yeah. But you see, in my rituals, I have a ritual for thread, unraveling the thread.
Yes.
Oh,
And so William Stafford is in it, and also William Blake,
William Blake, right.
A Golden Thread. You know that beautiful poem.
Jesus,
But
well,
let you read this.
we should start, we should start planning these together in future. What,
So could you read William Stafford, and then I'll read William Blake.
yeah, Stafford, of course, just an extraordinary voice of contemporary American poetry. This clarity, this directness of voice that I love. The Way It Is, yeah. From that's the
Book.
that's the name of this poem and the name of that collection, the eponymous collection. So this poem was extremely important to Stafford, and I love this great American directness. You know, this He calls it the way it is. The way it is. Um, it is the way. The way it is. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain to them about the thread. But it's hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen. People get hurt or die. And you suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You never let go of the thread.
I give you the end of a golden string. Only wind it into a ball. It will lead you into heaven's gate, built in Jerusalem's wall. I give you the end of a golden string. Only wind it into a ball. It will lead you. This is like the labyrinth, of course, Ariadne's. It will lead you into heaven's gate, built in Jerusalem's wall. And I won't be here to do a little ritual for you at the end of our session today because of this concert. But your ritual could be this: finding a ball of wool or a reel of thread and cut a piece roughly the length of your arm. Enter a quiet space to restore the soul's equilibrium. With the thread in hand, remind yourself that every new beginning, at this time of new beginning, must emerge from some letting go to allow space for an epiphany, a propitious moment that suddenly waylays and transforms. And then I go on, but stand and sit quietly, slowly, turning in your hand your unfurled orb of thread as you mull over your anxiety, which could be suffering, aloneness, or loss. Wait for the nudge to unravel it as you release the tangled clusters to its former horizontal identity. As every bunch of chords is different, so too is the unraveling of each soul's struggles.
So no, we better
We better move on to our doctors. Will we move on to the doctor?
yes. Will you share about your doctors and
I
then
will.
what time do you and Alison have to leave?
Well, after, like, just when you go into, I suppose, your breakout,
We'll have the breakouts and you
you
guys
know,
can hit the road.
you might lose us there. But we'll look at your comments, when we come back. So here we go on the little doctors. There's like 4 doctors, women doctors, out of 38 actually, doctors in the Roman Catholic Church. And I thought I'd share them with you. Get rid of that now. Oh God, I have to hit the wrong one.
There they are, the 4. There's the 4. And you said Hildegard.
I can't actually see it myself. Why can't I see it myself?
Clicking away there, you'll work it out.
Yeah, share. Damn it.
Oh, it's sharing right now, so
Well, I can't see it though. That's the thing. Let's see if I can see it now. I can't see it. Damn it.
click on the PowerPoint icon at the bottom.
I am doing that, dearest. Yeah.
Alison, can you offer some technical assistance?
I'm looking here.
Hold on, maybe
Maybe hit that one.
that one. Presenter layout. Okay.
There.
Well, it's not really coming up in full screen for me though.
You never have this problem, Nora.
Oh, never, 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 never.
Do you want to stop share and start again, maybe?
Yeah, okay.
Stop the share and start again.
Here I go now. No, it's my own little Nari keeps coming up.
Um,
Wait, nice.
can you like minimize the Zoom screen and just look at your PowerPoint screen?
I can, of course, you're right. Because you're actually seeing it, are you?
Oh yeah, I see it right here. Yeah, I can see your
Okay.
PowerPoint screen.
Okay, play from the start. Okay.
So just look at your PowerPoint screen. Yeah.
You see, what I was trying to do was get rid of them
Yeah.
too. Okay,
Now,
that's
now
now.
you can see it full screen now.
Here we are. Owen and myself. Today's the feast of St. Luke, as I said, who's a doctor and healer, and he's known that his gospel is known as the women's gospel, and it's one of my favourite gospels actually. Well, no, John is mine, but it's known as the women's gospel because he mentions women all the time, starting with Mary, the Magnificat, going to Elizabeth. 9 women are named and 10 are unnamed. You know, the women at the well and all of that. So we're talking about 4 women doctors in the church out of 34 men, 38 that should be, 3 nuns and 1 abbess. So now, okay, but I was going to teach you a little phrase for today, of course. You're right, it's Carvasta. Carvasta. Will you say that? Carvasta. Exactly. And the us is the capitals there. That's where you, Carvasta. Where are you from? Is us Florida, me? Or is us Newark? Is us Florida, me? Is us Florida, May? M-A-Y. I am from Florida. That's your little phrase for today. So the first doctor of the church I want to introduce you is Catherine of Siena, born there in 1370. She died when she was 39. One of her most famous sayings is, be what God meant you to be, and you'll set the world on fire. Isn't it nice? One of the youngest of 25 children. 25. Now, Owen, you've 2, 25. At 6 years, she had an epiphany. She was canonized not until 1970, actually. And so, some quotations from her writings, I was in your heart all the time. I never leave anyone who does not leave me. I never leave anyone who does not leave me. To discover your own potential, you need to help others to discover theirs. Isn't that lovely? So we have to help, it's in helping others that we actually discover ourselves. If you cried in heaven, everyone would laugh because they would know you were only kidding. Who was it that said, I don't want to go to heaven if there's no laughter there? Then some more of her wisdom there. Forgiveness is the foundation of God's being. Most important thing is to forgive. What is it you want? This is lovely. What is it you want to change? Your hair, your face, your body. Why? For God is in love with all these things, and he may weep when they're gone, and he won't recognize you if you change your face and your body. So speak the truth in a million voices. It's silence that kills. When we remain silent in the face of injustice. And this is lovely then. Once I asked a kind old priest about what secrets did he have to unburden his heart. And he said, hum a favourite melody. Wine will always rise to the top of oil. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound, whatever your favourite tune is, that will banish the sorrows. Here, dear earth, hold me until your dawn. I was very struck by that one because it was very like the Irish tradition that your candle is extinguished before the dawning of day. That's Catherine of Siena. I think that's as much as I'm going to tell you about her. Therese of Lisieux, this is the one I like least, actually. So she died at the age of 24, very, very young, of tuberculosis. The essence of her theology is simplicity and practicality. She was a great one for tantrums. She'd throw tantrums when she was young and when she was in the convent. Her little way is love. She wrote a lovely, I remember being very touched by it actually years ago, and then going back to it and not being touched as deeply. The Story of a Soul. That's her autobiography, The Story of a Soul. And she says, my way is one entirely of trust and love. She's known in theology as the Emily Dickinson of Roman Catholic sainthood. Canonized in 1925, not long after. And then one of the miracles associated with her is Edith Piaf, actually the singer, that when Edith was 7, she was struck with blindness in 1922, and she prayed to Teresa of Lisieux, and her sight was restored. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Roses she's connected with, and my grandmother Owen, the first Nora, she when she was dying, she died at home. She always said, St. Teresa's here because I can smell roses in the room. And we never could, but that's what she was dying. The third doctor is another Teresa of Avila, Spanish, 1515 to 1582, died when she was 67. This is my favorite. I love this one because she's a great sense of humour. She went off to the convent when she was 13. She was her father's favourite. Her father's mad about her. This is a time, of course, of Inquisition in 1559, when women were not allowed to read even. But she's wrote 7 books, 450 letters and poetry too. Founded 17 convents. Carmelites, of course, she's the founder of the Carmelites, you might have heard of, and 2 monasteries. But she got great opposition from the church, but she was well able for them. They would say that Descartes plagiarized her theology. I can't prove that. But what I love about her is there's always that struggle there between the human and the divine. You know, she's always talking about that, you know, so religion wasn't easy for her. You know, she was always struggling, and apparently she was very sociable in her convent. She would spend a lot of time in the guest house, in the guest room, talking to guests. Canonized then after her death in 1662. So here's some more of her. What did she say about prayer? She says, prayer is no more than a close sharing between friends. Prayer no more than a close sharing between friends. And I love this one, Owen. She says that God writes straight with crooked lines. So that the way is straight, but we actually have to go the labyrinth to get there, to get into there. But God is the creator of that labyrinth. And she didn't say that now. Holy water, she said, nothing puts the devil to flight like holy water. And I always remember, Owen, do you remember what you told me about holy water? How do you make holy water? You might be gone. Owen sent me this one time. How do you make holy water? You boil the hell out of it. So then she talks about 4 stages in prayer, which are lovely. Mental, then you become peace. First of all, you think about it, then you become peaceful, then you become absorbed in God. And the final one is listening to what's the message that's coming through to you in prayer. Anyone who truly loves God travels securely. So we often think of that about Thrust Tonham, that when you travel here, that you will travel securely too. May God protect me from gloomy saints. Yeah. And she said, didn't she say that? Yes, that God makes these priests. Why does he make these priests so gloomy? I wish God would come and tickle them. And then one time she was in hardship. I think she was driving in a little horse and cart, and she got stuck in a flood. And she looked up and she said, listen, I'm in hardship. And God looks down. He said, this is how I treat my friends in hardship, you know. And she says, well, it's no wonder you have so few friends. Then I have a lovely habit at night in my prayers, she said. I touch everyone I've seen that day. I often do this myself when I think of it. I shape my heart like theirs, and theirs like mine. That G, that should be G, should be an E there. And this is her bookmark that I started with. Maybe we'll say it together. Let nothing perturb you. Let nothing frighten you. All things pass. God does not change. Patience achieves everything. Whoever has God lacks nothing. God alone suffices. And we'll be sending you out this little PowerPoint too. And that's a link to her great book, or great theology, which is called The Interior Castle, where she writes about this journey being mentions on our way to the final destination. And then, of course, the 4th is Hildegard. Now, the Hildegard would be, I suppose, my great favourite altogether. The earliest of them, too. Teresa of Lisieux is the earliest, she's the youngest doctor of all the men. She died at 24. And, of course, we celebrate their feast days on the day that they died. So Hildegard, September the 17th. Therese of Avila is only a few days ago, October 14th or 15th. So Hildegard was 10th child. She was sent off to Dizzy Bodenberg, which is a nearby monastery, because that was the tradition that you sent a tide, you sent your 10th child to a monastery. So the first time she started to write anything, she was 42 and 7 months. And then, of course, she became a polymath. Do you know that term? A polymath is just somebody, meaning a lot, and math, an expert on a lot of things. So she was a visionary, possibly preacher, teacher, cosmologist, ecologist, and so on. Her great theology was viriditas, greening, that nature all around us is a symbol of being fully alive, you know. People think she was a liberal. She wasn't. Very conservative. She followed St. Bernard of Clairvaux, who was contemporary of hers, and he was ultra-conservative. Then she's not a feminist either, because she always, you know, even though she talks about women, and she has a very Marian Mary devoted theology, women are inferior to men, except herself. She believed she was very strong. Declared a saint, you know, not until 2012. So, and declared a saint by, I'll come to him now, one of the popes. This is Dizzy Bodenberg, which is a reproduction of what it would have been like at the time. Dizzy-Bod then is an Irish monk, you see, who is a wandering Celtic monk. And she actually, Hildegard, wrote a biography of his. So I think she was very much influenced, because her chant, of course, and her visions, they're extremely eccentric and very Celtic, very Irish too. So yes, to the very austere monastery, you couldn't, no laughing and no chatter, no humour, because they lived according to the rule of Saint Benedict that I've here somewhere, which is very much, you don't gossip and you don't laugh too much. Laughing wasn't really advised at all. I remember one of the monks actually talking about that here, Father Vincent, he passed over, and he was saying that even some of the older monks, when he entered, they would say, if they caught them, the novices laughing, that you shouldn't be laughing. Life is not a laughing matter. So her works then, 3 major theology, I'm going to run through these now because they are just facts, and we want to give you some time. So she looked at marvellous physical treatises, medicine, cookbooks, a lingua ignota, there, the last one. She devised an unknown language of 900 words that we don't know what they were about. So, but they were obviously a secret way of connecting with her nuns. So fascinating. First morality play, The Order Virtutum. And there are 82 mils, that's all sung, except the devil, because the devil has no voice, according to Hildegard. Anybody who's evil doesn't have any voice. And so very interesting there. So clothing and food, what did she say? I only just give you some crazy facts here now. Whale flesh is very good if you put it on a knife handle. If you put it on your arm, it will also heal. Whale fish, however we'll get whale fish, I don't know, whale flesh, and on a belt and so on. The bladder of a sturgeon is very good for dropsy, the shakes. The liver of a turbot is very good for bad eyesight. Salmon bones, very good for rotting gums. Don't take John's wort. That's not good at all. Arnica is a great aphrodisiac, she says. This is the aphrodisiac that Tristan gave Isolde. Don't eat butter. If you're feeling very aroused, if you tie a bat to your loins and let the bat die. Oh, terrible stuff. Water, she was fascinated by water, actually, way ahead of her time, saying that we should drink water all the time. Swamp water must be boiled. Well water, drink that above spring water and above river water, never snow. Lion's liver in water is very good for digestion. Wherever you get the lion's liver, I don't know either. Lark's head is very good. You put if you have a mad dog. I'll go down. A dog, she loves the dogs. She says because a dog understands humanity, and the devil hates a dog for its loyalty to humanity. A nice good supper now for you later on is boiled hedgehog and wine, cinnamon and pimpernel. Good cake of mole's blood, duck beak, female goose feet and flowers, very good for epilepsy. The water of a dead mouse is very good, and so on. All these strange things. Perpetual virginity was a thing. Marriage was completely shunned by her. Marriage is the indulgence of the weak. And she, picking up on St. Jerome there, who talks about marriage is useful to feeble men living alone. And for a useless member, I didn't go into all this, rue is very good, or wormwood and honey.
Useless member of what?
What? You tell me. And now, I didn't explicitly say what the next is. It refers to, but you can use your imaginations. Taking cooked food from a pot and pouring it on the floor. Men's harder. Infusing lettuce around their genitals. That's very good. She talks about the 4 temperaments. You see, she was way ahead of her time. The 4 temperaments of people: sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, melancholic. She talks about the single cause of cancer. And this has been, compounded by German medicine. So people say the white coat wasn't too far from the black habit. So men and women, if you're a sanguine type, you're going to be plump woman. You're going to have slender veins. You're not going to have many children, and you're going to have, you get on well with a husband. Sanguine men are suited to monastic life, and they're easygoing about sex. As a result, they won't miss it. Phlegmatic woman will have thick veins, severe features, and she'll be attractive to men. Always her chin will be turned down. Phlegmatic men will be indifferent to women. They're good-natured, a bit dull, fewer traits to recommend. They'll have little beard and little sexual appetite. A choleric woman will have big bones. She'll be pale, and men will be afraid of her. But beware choleric men, because they love sex and women. They're unquenchable, they're cruel, and they have incontinent children. A melancholic woman will be wealthy, weakly, and healthier without men. She'll be healthier without men. Men hold little charm. Melancholic men are bitter, greedy, violent. Their children are insane, and they're perverts. That's all. Nun's apparel, not black habit at all. She believed that the monastery was a virgin's paradise. And so they were going to wear gold gowns and crowns with jewels, flowing hair, and which was criticised by this woman, this canoness, Tenkswint, who wrote to her, and Hildegard defended herself. Long silk veils and the gold rings. She was a woman of vision and visions. The Order Virtutum, the morality play, this was about 100 years before any morality play. I tell the story myself. I was invited to take the lead role in the Order Virtutum years ago, and by Notre Dame University in Indiana. We travelled all over the place. And so it's the story of the anima, who is the soul, and these virtues behind her. And anima is being tempted by the devil. And so the devil keeps coming and roaring into her ear. He has no voice. So he just goes, Hugh, it's all in Latin. And but when I was playing it was very interesting, Alison, because the young fella playing it was very attractive. And so it meant that I had no problem at all being seduced by this young fella. No, I was very good. But anyway, so he'd come over beside me, and oh Lord, I was taken away. But anyway, so very much Benedictine spirituality is Hildegard, because of course she's Benedictine, following the 12-step path. I often wonder, the 12-step program, was it influenced by the rule of Saint Benedict? Because there are 12 steps of humility. And then this idea of the ladder, which of course is great in both the Old Testament and in the New Testament. You have the Jacob's ladder, and then you have the ladder of the cross. So the soul and the body are two sides of that ladder. Humility and discipline for the soul, two sides to holding the rungs together, and that you're going up these rungs. Wonderful, imaginative stuff. Music was, of course, the pathway to the divine. This comes across in all her theology. The devil doesn't have a singing voice. Obviously, she knew the saying, bis orat qui cantat, that the one who sings prays twice. And her convent one time was silenced because she took in a renegade monk to bury him in the grounds of the monastery. And as a result, they were punished. So there was no singing, no bells. And that was the biggest hardship she ever had to put up with. I've given you this. Butter in moderation now. Apples are very good. And so she's picking up there on scripture, which says, those of us who do good are like an orchard full of fruit, full of apples of good work. A raw apple is good for the healthy, but it's not good for the sick. You shouldn't give a raw apple to a sick person. It should be cooked and dried. It's great for everybody. The Celts, of course, believed that when you ate apples, you never aged. And Yeats, of course, the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Pope Benedict was the one who he was canonized, Hildegard, in 2012 and made her feast day on the 17th of September. Then I just want to leave you with this then. Her image of us is a feather on the breath of God. Clitte an all day. A feather on the breath of God. And this is her saying, they speak, that's men and other people, they speak of a God who thunders. But I've met a God who soars and floats and ripples in the moist air. Isn't that beautiful? Soars and floats and ripples in the moist air. And again, I know I am a feather on the breath of God. And to leave you now with, you don't need a summary. You know me now, I love the poetry of Malcolm Guite. He is an Anglican priest, wonderful poetry. And this is his sonnet to Hildegard. And again, as I'm saying it, you can say it with me. A feather on the breath of God at play. You saw the play of God in all creation. You drew eternal light into each day, and every living breath was inspiration. You made a play with every virtue playing, made music for each sister soul to sing, listened for what each herb and stone was saying, and heard the word of God in everything. Mother from Mother Earth and Majesty, your song revealed God's hidden gift to us. The verdant fire, his holy harbinger, the greening glory of Viriditas. Cherish this earth that keeps us all alive. Either we hear you or we don't survive. Isn't that lovely? Cherish this earth that keeps us alive. Either we hear you or we don't survive. Now stop share there. So I've gone on a little there, Oni. Have I shortened your time for
Oh, not at all. But I think, yeah, we will we'll have a little chat. Well, we will have our little breakout rooms, and maybe yourself and Alison might
say goodbye to us, to you?
goodbye.
Yeah.
This is the concert. The concert that you guys are going to is the
Good.
30th anniversary of the Irish Chamber Orchestra, which our father Micheál, the first thing he did when he started the Irish World Academy of Music and Dance at the University of Limerick, the first phone call he made, he says, was to John Kelly, the director of the Irish Chamber Orchestra, to tell him to get out of Dublin and to come down outside beyond the Pale, down to the regions, to the muck savages in Limerick. Which, of course, at the time would have been considered total artistic and cultural suicide, to leave the cultural capital, the civilized capital of Dublin, and to go down to Limerick, where the muck savages are falling into the Shannon River. And
of
so,
course, poor John is also up there with Mick now.
and look at this
Yeah.
photo here. Here they are. This is John Kelly and
Look, Nick, yeah.
Oh,
their glory days.
Yeah, and they're both gone now.
And this was out on the Aran Islands, the Inishmaan, when the Irish Chamber Orchestra flew out on an airplane to do a concert in the community hall this tiny island off
I
the
was,
west coast of Ireland. And yeah, John was a great old friend. He gave me my first summer job was working with the Irish Chamber Orchestra, arranging all the chairs and the music.
and he was
Um,
extremely charismatic, you know, he had huge religious beliefs, and uh,
yeah, yeah, he was big into the healing power of Jesus.
he was
Yeah.
always talking to me about that. Yeah.
But yeah, he was great. He was great. He was grateful. But the Irish Chamber Orchestra has gone on to become one of Europe's real top, chamber orchestras, and has just gone on to do the most amazing things. The minute it got out of Dublin and went down to Limerick, and the Irish Royal Academy has had all sorts of collaborations with them. Through education and performance, and so
They
you'll
have their
see.
own building now, their own building.
Yeah, the beautiful building and big rehearsal room on the campus of the university. So it'll be a very historic night, and Michal performed with them so many times. They loved his stuff, so there'll be a great sense of presence in the room.
Mm.
Um,
And I did a
yeah.
recording with them, one of my recordings. Mm.
Yes, yeah, yeah. We've a great history with them.
And there was a reception then a few nights ago, and the mayor spoke really beautifully about the importance of the chamber orchestra, and then the current conductor talked about the legacy of your father
Mihal,
there.
Oh
exactly.
yeah, okay,
It was
yeah,
beautiful. He played a violin.
wonderful,
It was lovely.
Lovely,
wonderful. Well, I'm
lovely,
so glad you're there. I can't believe you're there, Alison. That's amazing.
lovely. Yeah.
It's so cool. So you guys head off and we'll have a chat. And I was thinking the
But,
whole,
Oh, and
yeah.
on behalf of all the other people in the windows, great congratulations to you. Love to Andrea. Big hugs to Finn and to Nora Rose there. Yes. It's good to see you standing.
check it out. Here, look, here, I went down for my cup of coffee here. Yes.
And I'm going out to see Nora Rose on the 20th of November.
Doreen's flight's booked. Yeah.
Oh,
So
and book my flight there, so I'm looking forward to that.
you'll have a great time.
Actually, I might be with you for the next one, would I?
Maybe.
Yeah, that Sunday
And
might be
we'd
the
love to bring her over in the
in March.
springtime.
Yes, lovely. Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
see. Yeah.
I'm I'm getting my roof cleaned and my house sprayed and everything already
Good.
for.
Nora needs a nice clean roof. Yeah. Um,
So
great
mind
stuff.
yourself,
Yeah.
everybody.
And we'll
And,
you,
yeah,
you head off there and I'll set us up for a chat and we'll see you.
and God bless everyone, and mind yourself now till we see you again.
Lovely.
And may Saint Luke look after you.
So I was thinking a nice theme to get us started for a chat might be around the theme of the labyrinth, or just generally this time of year, what it means to enter into the dark half of things, the invisible world, the eternal world, as Stafford said. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. The thread doesn't change. Yeah. So we'll let's break off. It's now 1:15, and let's do let's put 20 minutes break, and feel free to take a break. You don't have to talk for the whole thing, and we'll come back in 20 minutes and finish up then. I'd love to hear from a few of you too around such things. And I think Cormac is behind the scenes beavering away. So Cormac, you might let us in. If you can, and if not, we'll do something else. There we go. Lovely, thank you. And I'll jump into a room here. Let's see, move to allow participants to choose.
Yeah, you should be able to join room 7 there.
Broadcast should be. Are you able to? What's the
I
word?
can't, you don't come up, I think because you're the host, I can't assign you.
It's actually not letting me. I don't see an option to. Wow. Were you able to drop into a room, Cormac? No, your Wi-Fi's
I
too
was this from this side, so
your Wi-Fi's too bad.
moving the parts.
Every time I just have the best chat. I don't know about you guys, but oh my god. And like 20 minutes at the start you think, "Oh, that's I'll be able to go I'll go make a cup of tea. I'll go." And the time suddenly there's 3 minutes left and I had the best chat with Carleen, who just came to Ireland on our trip, and I wasn't able to be there because of our little baby. And I know Carleen's daughter, Tara Ryan, from our times over in Carmel and over in Asilomar. And Tara's become an amazing, amazing friend, a great inspiration, such a very special person. And she brought her mother, Carleen, along to Ireland, which I knew you were going to do last year, but we didn't know the exact date of our new arrival at all. So I was really looking forward to spending time with you in Ireland, but it was not meant to be. But I'll see you in February. We'll be back in Asilomar. But we had the best chat, and I loved, Carlin, you were talking about, around Noreen's great facility around welcoming death and all that. But you talked about the phenomenon of missing someone, missing someone, and really, what's the cure for that? What's the antidote for that? And yeah, I know that feeling of missing someone. And really, I suppose, is for me the missing of someone is the medicine itself, that to feel that emotion for that period of time some way is like a balm for the grief, for that awful physical disappearance. And the missing, while it's not on its face a pleasant experience, for some I feel it is like a healing feeling after the missing has happened. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's something that I've felt around that what's that yearning, that burn of missing someone. Yeah. But please feel free to jump in, anyone. I'd love to hear from you guys, and we have plenty of time if anyone wants to talk. Let me see. You're able to unmute yourselves. Yes, now you're able to unmute yourselves. And just feel free to jump in, and I'd love to hear from any of you.
I just want to say I was talking with the lovely Sylvia, and we were talking about Irish slow airs and how beautiful they are. She plays the Uilleann pipes, which is so amazing, and and talking about that longing. I mean, Irish slow airs, if that doesn't embody the most beautiful experience of that longing, I don't know what does.
I remember, Sylvia, you telling me about your uilleann pipe career. And the uilleann pipes are notoriously the most difficult instrument in the world to play. Not for Sylvia. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And that experience too of like heartbreaking art or heartbreaking songs, and going through those and then coming out the other end of those, that there's some medicine in it, isn't there? There's like a reason, there's a point behind it. Yeah, it's not an indulgence or totally an affliction. There's some kind of medicine to it. Yeah.
It's something about being able to go so deeply into the feeling and come all the way through, and not getting not being afraid of the depth of it, and being it because it's a process that does bring you through.
And maybe Carleen, on that point, was there something that you'd like to share on that phenomenon of missing of
we were talking about that because I really feel in being imbued in spirituality, you do reach a point of understanding that we are that if the divine is within us, the divine is without us. It's with us right here, this minute. We're holding his hand. Then we can go to this place where we think we're real close to that veil. But when you love someone like a mother to a son, and I lost a son, the missing is phenomenal, and it can burn like your heart's on fire, or you have the flu. You really, it's physical, very, very physical. And I became a bereavement facilitator, and it takes time to listen. And it takes time to learn that there are no words I can say to you if that were you, but I can sit beside you. I can go to your house and bring cookies, and I can sit beside you and understand the missing. And the missing gets better with time. And I'm just going to tell you this little story because it's true. It's just as true as I was sitting in that number 18 in Ireland, and we were talking about part of the transformation is the closeness of the community. So yesterday I inherited a grand piano. It's been moved 3 times. It's in Tara's barn. You can play it next year when you come, but it hadn't been tuned. And the church of the Center for Spiritual Awakenings having a fundraiser there tonight, and they're having a music show. And I went, oh my God, anybody touches that keyboard, it's going to be a disaster. I had a man come yesterday, came out of a week of, had 1 cancellation, but he knew that piano. And I'm sitting there, it was willed to Aunt Dorothy. And there's a picture of my son Timothy taking a lesson from Aunt Dorothy on the piano. And I'm sitting there, and this man is saying, don't you ever sell this piano. It's the finest instrument Steinway made, 1916. I said, no, it belongs to this young woman walking by who was Tara. But I stood there, and he got finished. I looked at him and I said, Aunt Dorothy is laughing right now. And Timothy is right here. And I am not kidding you. They were as close as I am to you on this screen. And that memory, now I'm beyond the missing. I'm into the knowing that we are together. And when we are living our spirituality, I'm not saying it's easy, but that is God's gift to us. When we are that close to God by walking on the ground of Ireland, by walking in those ancient formations, by just being together. I looked at my daughter and I said, he's here, he is. He said, sure he is, Mom. He played that piano. So I'm just saying, it may sound flowery, but when it happens and you're in the form of that missing, you are correct. The missing itself is as deep as the love you had. It's a feeling we need to know. It changed me. I've never been the same. I'm not that same girl before it happened, but I understand it. And if I'm in a restaurant and somebody says, see that lady across the room, she just lost her child. I get up out of my chair and I walk over there and sit next to her, and you would do the same thing.
Wow.
That's how we gather. That's what happened in that room 18 in Ireland. And that's how I felt. And I wanted to go back the next day, is that we share that, and we share that with the Lord. Period. There's no other, it's real simple. The world doesn't get it though, or we wouldn't have the news we have on our televisions.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much,
That's why Cormac was driving. That's why we went to the circle in Kenmare and we all met there and we put the names of our relatives on the tree, right? They were there. Your father was there. Now it's easy for me to talk, but I live this and I have helped a lot of people with this. And the thing I've learned that I didn't know when I first started the groups is they needed more. They needed to come back for other sessions of music and art and journaling. If you don't give people the next step, they don't know what to do because they can't go back to who they were before the loss.
Mm-hmm.
You've changed, just like the transformation of you. We talked about Steve and John in our group and how those men who said they'd never had anything spiritual come back because they've changed. It's your music, your poetry, whatever. It's changing to me. And what it's done to me is to come home and get my journal out and see what I can write. But Death is, I don't like the word death. I'm now preferring the word passing. It's like my mother, who was almost 103. She still kind of had her brain, but she said to me, oh, she said, Timmy came. He came and sat on my bed and he took his shoes off and he had the cutest feet. Well, Timmy'd been gone for 30 years, but he did come to her bed that day.
Amazing. Thank you so
Now-
much, Arlene. Thank you.
Anyway, I want to come back to Ireland.
Regina, how are you doing?
Hi, Owen. Thank you. You're so perceptive. I didn't know. I was thinking I wanted to say something to I'm sorry, I forgot her name. She was talking about loss. But I'm just, can you hear me? I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I can hear you. Yeah.
So I feel and talking about the landscape in Ireland, and I just got back from Connemara a few weeks ago, and as we pulled in, the wonderful bus driver said, now you're going to see the most beautiful part of and looking at the bends, or whatever they call them, that mountain range is there. I just got all choked up, and I didn't know what that was, and that landscape keeps talking to me.
Mhm.
And I lost my husband, 5 years ago, very quickly, right before COVID. And I've been grieving and reading trying to learn about grief. And very much, and just like what was just said, it's so many layers, and it's so physical, and you can't just stop and go like, okay, well, it's just, it's move on. And how illiterate grief, how we're so here anyway in America, I think, grief illiterate. And anyway, but I've been so, and I also, and I love the labyrinth, metaphor, and how you talked about that, and I was talking with Mary and with Karen, and about the thread. I didn't know that story, and I really, for me, it was like something you take along with you, and like what was just said, when you suffer grief, you change, you do change. You wonder where that other person was, who loved, and but I just feel like there is this thread to hold on to, and whether it's a saint, like I'm very St. Anthony travels with me all the time when I travel, and since I'm like in high school, and or the the invisible help that David White talks about, that so I like that idea of the thread. And Karen said, well, when you go into the labyrinth, let's say that's a metaphor for our lives, when we come out holding that same thread, are we changed, and are we the same? And I think so. I feel like even at this juncture of 5 years and learning and how to be in the world without my husband, we were together over 40 years. It's that even being in Connemara just hit me in a way that I'm trying to understand, and just I bought a book on Connemara, but that's not, it's like sort of and also I want to go back to Ireland too, because of you all, and the way the landscape talks to you. So anyway, thank you for doing this, Owen. This is wonderful, really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mary, how you doing over there?
Hi.
Hey.
Were you talking to me?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, hi. So, congratulations. I'm
Oh,
so
thank you.
happy. Those pictures are wonderful. I'm doing well. Actually, I did actually have a couple of things to say, so thank you for calling on me. I was just telling Regina and Karen I had gone back this summer to collect some things from my brother's. He'd been storing for me for the last 15 years, and he actually took a road trip back with me. And this is the book that I pulled out of the box.
Oh, no
Jorge.
way.
Yes. Oh my God. I love this book so much. It was one of my favorite books in college. And I pulled this out of the box and I'm like, no way. And my son has been reading it now. I mean, he got his own copy. And so we've just been talking about labyrinths for like the past few months. So there's
Something's going on.
that.
Something's
Yeah.
going on. Yeah, you'll have
Yeah.
to show him the video about the Egyptian labyrinth.
Okay. Okay.
Look, I'll share it here on the chat. I
Will
have it on
you?
the notes,
Okay.
but here it is on the chat as well. This is so
Okay.
much fun, and it's just really interesting. There, I love this type of stuff. It's like the idea of something that has always been there, but
Yep.
only now it's revealed to us, but it's always
Yeah.
been there. So this is like a
Exactly.
metaphor, like he's actually talking about the actual labyrinth in Egypt, but you can watch this as a metaphor as well too, and just to kind of see how there's a labyrinth in us that's even more magnificent than the most magnificent part of us, and it's there waiting to be revealed, and new technology and new ways of seeing can reveal it for us, and we have to never lose hope that the sources, that the voices of pragmatism will say no, 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 it can't be unearthed. But don't listen to those voices, always allow the voice of hope to push on through. So that's what this video, you can look at it literally, of course, because it is literal, but you can look at it in this metaphorical way as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's one more thing I wanted to say, just about the cranes.
Oh yeah.
So Mankan Magan, he has this
uh
podcast, The Almanac of Ireland, which is just, oh my God, I've just been listening obsessively to it for the past like year. And there's one on cranes.
Of course.
And yes, and so I would recommend listening to that if
And
you haven't.
Moncon he just passed away. He just
Mm-hmm.
died last week. Well, a great Irish living mystic, a young man now, but he's a
Yeah.
brilliant author. Look, of course, his books are never he's this famous one, 32 words for field in the Irish language, and he's just a brilliant commentator and mystic, and he passed away of a very quick cancer, and is a big national loss in Ireland. And of course, yeah, and he's a great speaker, so his podcast is amazing, and he gets on amazing guests, and he's so articulate, and brilliant. Yeah, that's so nice. And he has one on cranes. Maybe we can find that too and pop that on our notes as well too and share that. Good old Moncon. Yeah, thanks for bringing him up as well, Mary. Pat Morris, how are you doing over there, Pat? Where in the world are you, Pat? Remind me. Where are you based? Hang on, you'll have to click that button there.
I'm in Yonkers, New York, which is a few miles north of the city.
Yeah.
Speaking of cranes, I'm reading this book by Powers, the Echo Maker. And part of the theme is cranes. There's a small town in the Midwest where it's flatlands. It's almost like swampland, kind of like the bogs in Ireland, and the cranes. Hundreds of thousands of cranes use it as a stopover, and they're there for about 30 days or so before they make the trek all the way to Alaska. So and the migration has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. So that's kind of the background, and the story is about a man who's in an accident, and he has brain damage because of that. And he doesn't recognize his sister. He thinks his sister is an imposter. It's kind of like an Oliver Sacks type of thing where, there are these unusual brain occurrences where the perception that we as so-called normal people experience, they experience reality in a different way.
Yes.
So all of Power's books are kind of like that. They give you a different tangent where there's the fiction part, but there's also something else that you learn and get out of it. So when you guys started talking about cranes today, I said, wow, what a coincidence.
Love it.
And I know I always used to, I think of this time of year because when I was teaching, we used to do the book Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes, which is the true story of a little girl in Japan who was just in utero when the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. And she did get radiation sickness. And the legend in Japan, if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, your wish will come true. So she made it to 684, and her classmates finished the 1,000. And since then, people all over the world, have been folding paper cranes. And there's a statue in Japan dedicated to her memory. So I think, cranes are such a universal symbol.
Brilliant. I love it. Yeah, I just found a a link to Montcalm McGann talking about cranes there on RTE. And the link there to that Echo Maker novel. It sounds fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat. Yeah, that's great. I'll put links to those two here on our little notes for them. Let's see, who else do I see? Sally Gill, any news?
Oh, one of the things that we talked about was what you started with about this becoming the dark side of the year, and it's time to go inward, and that's sort of the beginning of things. And it just struck me that you just had your baby, you had Nora Rose come into the world, but of course she begins in darkness. And so that's how, and all those creative forces, the things that bring her to life, happen in that dark womb. And then she emerges out into the light. And so it was that whole idea about how the creative part of life and how we kind of make things happen, it has to begin there in the dark. And I love this time of year. And so I was sort of just going on about that. But I loved what you were talking about there. And also, I have to leave here in a minute. I have to catch a bus to go down to the farmer's market. But you mentioned that Asilomar, you're going to be in Asilomar in February with David.
That's right, Asilomar February with David for sure.
Do you know the date? Do you know the dates yet?
Do you, Carleen, do you know the date of that yet? I don't know. I don't know yet, but we'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, because I just want to make sure I don't plan anything else for those dates, because I always like to go up there every year. So
Okay, I actually have it. It's the weekend of February 27th, 2026. The weekend of February 27th.
All right, I'll be seeing you in person then.
Sylvia, do you want to give us a little parting word, perhaps?
I've got to run to catch my bus.
See you soon, Sally.
Bye, everybody. Sorry, Sylvia. I hope I get in a room with you one of these days.
And maybe Geraldine as well, too. A quick parting word.
Thank you. I'm just thinking about the Uilleann Pipes. Megan and I had a lovely conversation together. I've been learning the pipes I started when I was 65, but I lost my first husband, my late husband, when we were both 30. And I very much recognize that memory now at this stage, of feeling so close to Malcolm when I was in my deepest grief. And it was like a comfort, that place, and I'd be crying, and it was a very dark place. But equally so, there was something healing about being in that place for a wee while and then emerging out of it. But you had to train yourself, because it's so emotionally draining, to come forth from it. But I think one of the reasons to skip forward, I love slow airs and I love the Uilleann pipes. I just adore. I like the slow airs rather than the faster music. But I have 73-year-old fingers now, so they won't be going anywhere. They're not 25-year-old fingers. But I think there's something about, I'm a real Celtic Christian. I love Ireland. I could never live anywhere else other than here at home. But there's something in the music when we're playing, when I'm listening even to slow airs, there's something so deep, so connecting. Megan and I were talking about the interconnectedness of all of life and befriending. Remember Matthew Fox's workshop with Noreen indeed in the 80s, Befriending the Dark. And that was one of the greatest teachers of my life. I was 4 years widowed at that stage. And Befriending the Dark was a huge message, huge. But the playing of slow airs on the Uilleann pipes, it touches something so deep within me, with all that history behind me, and Megan plays the flute, which is also a beautiful instrument. So thank you and congratulations on baby.
Thanks, Sylvia. Here, you'll have to record yourself and post it on the and send it around to us sometime. We'd love to see it. We're
Merciful
a
hour.
very forgiving audience here, I can tell you. Very forgiving and encouraging, I can tell you.
I'm waiting for my regulators. I've baritone reg coming up, so I haven't my complete set yet. But I promise you won't. I promise you'll regret.
We will not. We love it. And Geraldine, a quick goodbye. I have to run as well too and relieve Grandma. But Geraldine, are you there? Maybe she's just listening. But
I'm here.
Oh, there she is. Do you want a quick word before we go?
What?
We can't hear you there now, but
I hear you.
oh, very good, very good. And how's everything going over there?
I'm feeling blessed.
There you are.
Hey, Dad, with the girl I thought last night.
Oh.
And it was a girl. I prayed for you to have a girl, for the family to have a girl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I really am. Yeah, we'll see. There's ruffles and bows everywhere. You open the drawer and there's bows and ruffles and all
Oh,
these
yes. She's just
all
gonna,
kinds of
you're
pinks
just
and
gonna, you are
purples.
gonna put a tutu on, honey, at some point.
I
And
am,
you,
for
and-
sure. My
and
own
you're gonna
tutu.
have some dad
Yeah.
jokes. We will have dad jokes. Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you all so much, and so great to spend time with you, and to all on the recording who can't be here in person. You're all here in our spirit and in our hearts, and we're here together, holding hands in this great circle. So thank you so much. And Cormac McCarthy, as always. See you soon, guys. Thank you.
Be safe. Love you all.